If you are going through PCOS, then I need to tell you that you are more powerful than your PCOS. And PCOS symptoms can not only be managed, you can reverse it to a great extent. And all that it takes is some faith, some effort, and the right knowledge. If you are a man watching this and have some women in your life going through PCOS, then I request you to support these women wholeheartedly in their health journey. Because PCOS is such a real battle to deal with. For you, it may be just a minor mood swing, but for them, it's a roller coaster ride that takes a toll not only on their bodies but on their minds as well. So I request you to motivate them, encourage them, and support them so that they can overcome it as soon as possible. With that said, today I'm going to discuss some of the common myths around PCOS and the corresponding facts which are scientifically established. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. Hi, I am Dr. Jayashree Ramana, and in this space I talk about science-backed skincare, hair care, and all other health and beauty content. If you love to watch such content, make sure you subscribe to my channel and also tap that bell icon to be notified of my upcoming videos. So friends, PCOS has become such a common condition in the modern world, and there are so many myths surrounding it. As long as we stay in these myths, it gets harder and harder to overcome this condition, because the more you know about it, the sooner you can devise a strategy to overcome it. So today I'm going to discuss some of these myths and the corresponding facts. So let us start with myth number 1. PCOS affects only overweight women, or PCOS makes you gain weight. Well, that's just far from truth. The fact is that PCOS can affect any woman of any weight. Even if you have a normal weight, you could still be getting PCOS. PCOS is a disease with a lot of heterogeneity amongst different women. So one woman with PCOS may have excess weight, and another one with PCOS may not have the excess weight and still be having normal weight. But yes, insulin resistance remains a common factor in lean PCOS as well as obese PCOS, that is the ones who have a normal weight compared to the ones who have more than the normal weight. So insulin resistance is a common factor in both. If you want to know how to reverse insulin resistance, please watch my previous video on this topic where I have discussed in detail how to overcome insulin resistance and how you can overcome PCOS by doing so. But yeah, there is one more thing I would like to add. There are certain additional steps that you have to take in order to address lean PCOS, because lean PCOS involves a lot of adrenal dysfunction which also needs to be addressed along with the insulin resistance factor. Of course, insulin resistance is far more severe in case of obese PCOS as compared to the lean PCOS. If you want me to discuss lean PCOS in more detail, then please comment in the comment section lean PCOS and I'll make a separate video on that. The same goes true about all other symptoms of PCOS, be it acne, facial hair, bloating, mood swings, insomnia, and so many others. So PCOS basically means one woman could be having a particular set of symptoms and the symptoms of another one could be a little different. But yes, there remains some common factor, and therefore you need to overcome that by all the dietary changes and the lifestyle modifications. Now let us come to myth number 2. If you have PCOS, you can't get pregnant. No, that's not true. PCOS simply means that you are not ovulating regularly and therefore you do not have regular cycles. But then there are certain months when you do ovulate. There are other months when you do not ovulate. But in the months that you do, you still have the chances of getting pregnant or conceiving. PCOS does not necessarily mean that you cannot get pregnant. But you need to remember that if you have PCOS, then you may have complications in your pregnancy. You could even have miscarriages, and therefore you need to be careful. You need to restore your hormones to a place of health before you actually conceive, in order to avoid any kind of complications and to ensure that you stay healthy and your child also stays healthy. Myth number 3. PCOS is detected by ultrasound. Well, you may not be able to see polycystic ovaries in your ultrasound, but you could still be having PCOS. There are 3 major conditions which are used for the diagnosis of PCOS. The first one of these is clinical or biochemical hyperandrogenism. Hyperandrogenism means you have an excess of male hormones or androgens. So if you have higher than normal level of male hormones, then that is one condition to diagnose you as PCOS, and you need to undergo a lab test in order to confirm that. Sometimes it happens that you do not see an excess of male hormones even in your lab tests, but you see all the symptoms of PCOS. In such a case, we call it biochemical hyperandrogenism, which basically means that you could simply be more sensitive to your male hormones. Even though the lab tests are not showing that you have the higher than normal levels of the androgens, you could still be hypersensitive or having higher levels of androgens which are not picked up because of the differences in the reference ranges of the different labs. So you could still be having PCOS. The second condition that you need to be satisfying in order to be diagnosed as having PCOS is the presence of polycystic ovaries. You may or may not have it, but if you do see them, then you are definitely suffering from PCOS. And the third condition, oligo-ovulation, which means that you do not ovulate as frequently as you should. So there are certain months when you ovulate and there are other months when you do not ovulate. Normally you should ovulate every month, which basically means you should ovulate every 28 to 35 days. But when that does not happen, then you call it PCOS. So if any two of these three conditions are satisfied, then it means that you are suffering from PCOS and you need to undertake a proper health journey in order to overcome this condition. Myth number 4. If you're not looking to get pregnant, then you don't have to worry about having PCOS. Again, that's the biggest lie anyone can tell you. You know, when you have regular cycles, regular menstrual cycles, you're producing your hormones like estrogen and progesterone. But when you do not have regular cycles, that happens in the case of PCOS, that means you're not going to ovulate regularly and then you're not going to make these hormones. You are not having sufficient progesterone in your body, so you do not have the hormonal play that is happening all the time, and therefore you experience all of these symptoms around your skin, around something like depression, anxiety, irritability, irregular periods, and so on and so forth. So you need to have ovulation every month. You need to have regular cycles and balanced hormones in order to experience all the health benefits. So whether you are trying to conceive, whether you are planning to conceive or not, you need to have proper cycles and your hormones in balance. Myth number 5. The best way to treat PCOS is to go on a birth control pill or a contraceptive pill like Dine35, etc. and so on. It is true that many women who use these birth control pills start getting regular periods. But you need to question yourself. Are these natural regular periods? Are you making your own hormones like estrogen and progesterone? Not really. You still need to ovulate and make these hormones because that is what you need in order to experience all the health effects that you are looking for. While on the other hand, these pills contain a combination of synthetic estrogen and progesterone-like molecules and can have so many side effects in many women like hair fall, anxiety, depression, and so many things. So you cannot use them on a long-term basis. You still need to work on your body in order to get your hormones back on the track. So you definitely need to get your natural ovulation, your natural hormones to experience health. Now coming to the last myth of today. PCOS is a life sentence for feeling bad. Again, it's all about you. So you cannot give up. You know, PCOS does have a genetic predisposition, but that does not mean you have to suffer for life. There is a lot that you can do about it. And this is why I have to tell you that you are more powerful than your PCOS. PCOS symptoms can not only be managed, you can reverse it to a great extent. And all that it takes is some faith, some effort, and the right knowledge. And if you're a man watching this and have some women in your life going through PCOS, then I urge you to support these women wholeheartedly, because PCOS is such a real battle to deal with that takes a toll not only on their bodies but on their minds as well. So you need to support them, motivate them, and encourage them so that they can overcome it as soon as possible. So that's all for today, and I hope you draw some inspiration from it and start working on your health. If you have any other doubts or myths that you would like to add to this list, please feel free to do so in the comment section below. If you have any questions, you can drop that as well. Thank you so much for watching, and take care of yourself and your loved ones. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you soon in my next video. Until then, take care and goodbye.